you use one every single day, multiple times, without once pausing to consider that the room you're in, private, comfortable, with running water and a door that locks, is the mechanical foundation that keeps our civilizations from collapsing. For most of our existence as a species, there was no designated place to go. And for mobile hunter-gatherers, that worked. Small groups moving constantly across large landscapes meant waste was dispersed naturally. The environment processed it, and the density never reached the level of a public health crisis. The problem started when we stopped moving. The moment ancient humans built permanent settlements and decided to stay in one place to farm, they created a massive waste management challenge. A settlement of 100 people quickly becomes 1,000, then 10,000. All of those people produce waste in a confined space. Without a system to remove it, that density poisons the immediate environment. It seeps into drinking water and spreads pathogens, effectively rotting a city from the inside out until it becomes uninhabitable. Mastering agriculture gave us a steady food supply, but permanent civilization could only survive if we successfully engineered a way to escape our own accumulated filth. The first engineered answer to this crisis appeared 5,000 years ago in the Indus Valley civilization. In the ancient cities of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, archaeologists found a level of planning that wouldn't be seen again for millennia. In Mohenjo-daro, brick toilets were standard in ordinary homes. Each house had a seat positioned over a drain. These drains were part of a larger network. Gravity directed waste out of the private home, funneling it into specialized street channels. Those street channels fed into a massive, city-wide grid of covered brick sewers. By placing the system underground and covering it with stone, the Indus engineers kept the waste stream physically isolated from the population walking above. Finally, these main arteries carried the collective waste through outfalls located far beyond the city boundaries, exporting the toxicity away from the living environment. The genius here was the systemic physical separation of the waste stream from the public drinking water. It was a blueprint for urban survival that the rest of the world would spend thousands of years failing to replicate. In ancient Egypt, the approach was far simpler and more dangerous. Rather than engineering a system of separation, they relied on local displacement. Homes used ceramic chamber pots that were routinely emptied into pits or directly into the Nile. By putting their waste into the same river they used for drinking, bathing, and farming, they created a cycle of waterborne disease that limited their own life expectancy. The Romans eventually built at a much larger scale. Their Cloaca Maxima, the Great Sewer of Rome, was a marvel of stone engineering, designed to flush massive amounts of waste into the Tiber River. They also built public latrines, where citizens sat shoulder to shoulder on long marble benches. These were communal spaces, where Romans conducted business and caught up on gossip, with no concept of personal privacy. But the Romans didn't understand the biology of what they were moving. They built sewers for aesthetics and smell, not for hygiene. Without an understanding of pathogens, they frequently allowed their waste systems to cross-contaminate the water supplies feeding their own public baths. Rome's infrastructure was efficient, but because they lacked germ theory, they were often just creating city-wide distribution networks for the microscopic organisms killing them. It took until the 19th century for humanity to identify the real threat. Pioneers of germ theory, like John Snow, finally proved that invisible, microscopic pathogens in contaminated water were the source of citywide cholera outbreaks. Cities finally adopted the Indus Valley's principle of total separation on a municipal scale. As these sewer networks spread, deaths from waterborne diseases plummeted so sharply that modern sanitation is now credited with saving more lives than every medical invention, from vaccines to penicillin combined. This engineering solution also carved out a new kind of human experience: 3 entire years of the average modern lifespan spent in total, solitary silence. While our ancestors fought for survival while sharing marble benches with strangers, we spend our hard-won, life-saving private sanctuary scrolling on our phones.